The coastal bend has seen many species threatened with extinction, but one remarkable species, the brown pelican, was once completely gone from the state of Louisiana. A series of acts were passed protecting the species, but now climate change becoming a potential threat. Our Simone Simpson spoke with the Coastal Bend Bird Program at the Coastal Bend Bays and Estuaries to see what effect, if any, climate change is having on the species' local habitat.
In the early 70s, brown pelicans were survived by only 6 nesting pairs. Now more than 90% of brown pelicans nesting in Texas breed on 2 islands, Pelican Island in Corpus Christi Bay and Sundown Island in the Matagorda Bay. But changes in the sea level and erosion definitely has the director of the Coastal Bird Program on the lookout to monitor how the species is doing with an ever-changing habitat.
The brown pelican is obviously one of the most immediately recognizable and important species that I think everybody on the coast immediately sees and recognizes that species, and it's a real icon.
But to understand what makes them iconic, you have to take a look at their history, dating back to the late 50s and 60s.
Their numbers really started to plummet because of DDT being in the system, and basically what was happening is it was magnifying through the food chain, and it was making their eggs so thin that they wouldn't be able to support the growing young.
DDT is an insecticide first developed in the 1940s, but was later prohibited 10 to 20 years later due to its declining benefits and environmental and toxicological effects.
Laws were passed, the Clean Water Act and the Endangered Species Act, and it started to protect these species a little bit more,
which led to their eventual recovery. But now a new threat is on the horizon: climate change.
We're certainly seeing effects of climate change and sea level rise and things like that. All of these things are sort of tied up together.
As opposed to Louisiana, David says brown pelicans nest on islands that are in the bays.
There's one big island where they're nesting out there. That island's fairly large, but it is starting to erode a little bit. But this is the plight of a lot of these what we call colonial nesting water birds.
Everything that happens on that island is critical because they're raising their young, but another major concern is their habitat being disturbed by residents.
We can do a lot in terms of providing the habitat, but what people can do is just sort of respect that and give the birds the space they need.
To find out more about the Coastal Bird Program and their efforts to protect not only brown pelicans but all sorts of birds, we'll connect you to their Facebook page on our site shortly.